I grew up in a pretty straightforward family. It's just that I always knew I was adopted as a child. It was just something that I'd known. It wasn't something that was just thrown on to me. But that brought its own little flavor of troubles for me growing up. Feeling a bit detached from the family, even though, I would say to somebody I'm adopted, and my sisters would get all really mad because they didn't see me that way. They saw me as a brother. Looking back on it now, I am a brother. I am a son. So there wasn't too much difference there. Around the age of 12 and 13, I started getting into a few little police problems, breaking into places, causing a little bit of mischief, damage. It wasn't, malice. It's just something that you didn't think you were doing wrong. My parents were getting me to see a psychologist for my behavior. His answer to everything was find out who his real parents were and problem solved. And it wasn't. When I was 13, I remember sitting in home ec class. Just, I can't remember what I was doing, but that's when the thoughts of wanting to, not be here anymore came about. I was 15 years old when I had my first suicide attempt. I didn't even see a psychiatrist or a psychologist after that. They just dealt with the physical aspects of what I went through. And I guess it was a wishful thinking that, everything would go away or fix itself. And it was only a few months later that I was put in a hospital for 3 months for a psychiatric evaluation. And even then, I don't know what they thought. I was just there for 3 months on an adult ward. Even through a few suicide attempts and hospitalizations, no diagnosis was given. And that's when I knew I had to just throw on a mask, pretend everything was fine, no matter what I was going through. I was 26. I was only here a few months. I was working, friends, family. It was good. It was really good. But then, I don't know, I was feeling stress, a lot of stress. The mask that I was wearing thin, cracking a bit. I couldn't say anything to anybody because I never did, really. I just woke up one day and I said, I just need to go away. And I remember getting on a bus down to Killiney, the only place I knew in Ireland apart from Dublin. So I just went down there, tried 2 different suicide attempts before I tried to help again. A few weeks later, they diagnosed me with bipolar. Manic depression is what they called it then. And the advice that was given to me was, here's your medication, don't go off it. I still knew nothing about it. Because I knew nothing about the words trigger. I knew nothing about the words, like highs, lows, manic. Nothing until I started researching it. I took ownership and said, no, I need change. There's a bit of luck between medication working properly, finally fighting and getting into the services that I need to get into, like a DBT course, dialectic behavior therapy, and getting a second diagnosis 10 years after my first diagnosis of borderline personality disorder. So I'm dual diagnosed. When I was on proper medication, or what I assumed was proper medication, still having ups and downs, and until I knew that there was 2 different diagnoses that were feeding off each other in a sense, because one works with medication, the other doesn't. One works more with therapy, and understanding the 2 of them, that's when I started taking mastery of it all. Because then I could say, yeah, the medication was working, but this was what was causing me to go downhill. I know a lot of people don't like labels, or they feel it's a judgment being called what they have. But until I knew the name of what was affecting me, I couldn't, deal with it. I couldn't educate myself about it. So once I understood exactly what I had, I looked up everything I could find on it, read books, everything on the web. Once I got the proper tools, even understanding, I can feel, say, if my jaw's clenching up. That's one of my sort of telltale signs I know there's something wrong. And, with the education of my family, my wife, they understand it now, so they can, they can see it coming on as well. My mental health journey is my journey, and I wouldn't take it back for anything, because it's made me who I am now. I could say what if and what would have happened, or I'm not doing it anymore. I'm staying in the moment, and I'm looking for the future.